Hey Catalysts. So if you watched my last video, you might have noticed that something was a little bit different. My wife certainly noticed, and she actually talked to me and she said, hey, what was different about this video? It just seemed a little bit off. And she was right. There was something that was very different about that video, and that's the thing I want to talk about today, and that's energy. So let's talk about energy a little bit. We're not talking about energy like, power that's coming from your light sockets to power up your light bulbs. What we're talking about here is emotional energy, and there's actually a wide variety of emotional energies that all of us experience on a pretty regular basis. Everything from enthusiasm to despair to excitement to apathy to fear. And all of those are tied to emotional energy. And these are based on a lot of different things. You've got brain chemicals that can have an impact on that. In addition to that, you've also got your perceptions, not only of what's going on currently right now, but also things that you've experienced in the past and things that you think you're going to experience in the near future as well. Those perceptions all tie into things that are called mental models. We build up these mental models over time, and they're based on experiences that we have or things that we've seen, and then we apply those mental models to the world around us. And so therefore, that actually can change our energy. A prime example of that is where people talk about when they get dressed up in a suit and tie, they say, well, I feel more professional. That's actually a mental model that they have, that people in suits and ties are more professional. And so therefore, when they actually experience that, they feel more professional. So the energy that you take into an experience is actually going to change that experience for you, because it's going to change your perception of that whole experience. And so therefore, if you go in with a more positive attitude towards something, you'll probably perceive it more positively. If you go in with a negative attitude, you're probably going to perceive that more negatively. Now, the cool thing about this is if you're going into a bad situation, but you go in taking positive energy with you, then you can make the bad situation a little bit better. Conversely, if you go into a good situation but you have a bad attitude, you're probably going to end up souring the experience for yourself. So your mileage may vary on that. I'm not necessarily saying that just because you go into a bad situation with a positive attitude that the experience is 100% going to be better for you. But what may actually end up happening is when you remember that experience later on, even though it was a bad experience, you may still remember it in a good light by saying, yeah, it was really tough, but I mean, hey, we got through it, right? Now, the cool thing about knowing that your energy can change your experience is the fact that you can actually change your energy as well. You can change the way that you're actually perceiving a situation, and you can actually go from a very negative outlook to a very positive outlook. So you may be asking, okay, well, how do I change my energy? So let's talk about some steps that may actually help you do that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to recognize the fact that you have negative energy in that particular situation. Then you want to try to recognize where that's coming from. Maybe it's a previous experience, maybe it's something that's going on right now that's making you uncomfortable, or maybe it's something that you think is going to be happening coming up relatively soon, and you don't have a rosy picture about that. The second thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try and recognize where that's coming from. Maybe it's an experience in the past, or maybe it's your perceptions about how things are going to go in the future. But it's good to be able to recognize that for the next step. And that's where step 3 comes in, which is actually adjusting your mental model or adjusting your outlook on how things are going to go. So once you actually know where that fear is coming from, or where that despair is coming from, or where that apathy is coming from, that gives you the ability to address that. And the last thing I recommend is actually to smile. Smiling has actually been shown to release chemicals in the brain that actually improve mood overall. And so therefore, that'll help lift your mood along with changing your mental model and your outlook. So one last thing I want to talk about is the fact that positive energy has a tendency to kind of build upon itself and kind of starts to get like this snowball effect. If you've ever noticed, if you've gone into something that you weren't exactly jazzed about, but you still forced yourself to do it anyway, once you got going and things were kind of going okay, then you start really kind of getting into it. So keep that in the back of your mind and just remember that, maybe you're not excited to be going and doing this thing right away, but once you get into it, it'll be a good time. So that's a little bit on emotional energy and a couple different ways that you can actually help motivate yourself a little bit. I'm curious what you do to motivate yourself and how you keep yourself going through the bad times. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.